6 months ago, I already understood the appeal of mid-size SUVs. They're relatively small vehicles that don't suck down too much fuel, and you can carry furniture in the back if you want to.
Even your most giant mates won't complain about the room on the back seat, and they're easy to get in and out of. The second generation Tiguan is bigger in every important dimension than the old one, but it's still smaller on the outside than most of its rivals. It's like they were being careful not to upset the balance of the universe.
I've been living with this mid-spec petrol 132 TSI Comfortline for 6 months, and its arrival coincided perfectly with my need to buy one of these and one of these and one of those. Because about 4 months ago, I also got my first one of these.
And every parent knows that when you've got one of these, you also need to bring a whole heap of other things you never thought a baby would need. And no matter how tall or short you are, nothing prepares you for having to delicately insert your most precious cargo into their seat while ducking under the roof and lifting it over the top tether strap.
And while it's certainly possible to fit a child and load all this stuff into the back of a hatchback or wagon, it's much easier with an SUV because of its taller doors and bigger boot. Of the 9 different Tiguan variants on offer, we chose the mid-spec petrol as it's the one Chesto picked as the sweet spot from the Tiguan's Australian launch. And he's right, it's a class act. It's the one I'd choose to buy, even over the sporty 162 TSI that sits at the top of the range.
We optioned ours up with the luxury pack because we wanted leather seats, but it also brings front seat heaters, a panoramic glass sunroof, electric driver's seat with memory settings, proximity unlocking, auto folding door mirrors and an electric tailgate.
People go on about Volkswagens and German engineering, but translated to English, it basically means that everything you touch feels like it's part of one package.
From the indicator stalks to the gear selector to the door handles, the steering feel, and yes, when you shut the doors, it somehow all feels the same and pretty high-end. The cabin space is brilliantly designed for a car of its size and price too. With heaps of room for 4 adults, a sliding and reclining back seat to give you more boot space if you need it, tray tables in the rear that double as tablet mounts, cup holders front and rear and bottle holders in each door, and this brilliant front seat bin that we only discovered last week. Driver visibility is also very good, with front quarter windows, a flat belt line and large side and rear windows.
And Volkswagen also deserves big brownie points for making the most important safety tech standard even on the base model.
We've covered 10,000 kilometres in our 6 months, and it's always been a comfortable, capable, palate cleansing car to climb aboard, in between all sorts of other test cars.
Even though it's a relatively large 2-litre turbo under the bonnet, it really tries to save fuel in the default settings and can feel pretty doughy under throttle. But flick the selector over to S mode and it sharpens up the throttle and the dual clutch auto, and all of a sudden you can feel all 132 of those kilowatts and 320 newton meters. It's actually pretty peppy in S mode, and the ride and handling balance on the Comfortline's relatively small 17-inch wheels is just spot on for all sorts of driving conditions.
We've literally done everything with it, from long highway trips to lugging Christmas presents all over Sydney to testing out its off-road ability in the Blue Mountains.
One thing we didn't like was that the dual clutch auto can be a bit sluggish off the line and unpredictable in technical off-road situations, but it was pretty fine everywhere else. The only other real issue we had was when the air conditioning stopped altogether in the peak of Sydney's hottest summer on record. However, it was fixed pretty easily under warranty with the replacement of a couple of O-rings, and now the tri-zone climate control is as cool as ever. Does the new Tiguan do what it says on the packet? You bet. Was Chesto right when he said that the 132 was the pick of the bunch? I think so. If you want a mid-size SUV for maximum practicality within a relatively small body and still drives like a car and doesn't suck down too much fuel, the 132 TSI Comfortline is a fine package. And if you want to read the full review, click the link right here.